Alright, folks, welcome back to the Boys and Green YouTube channel. We're back with a video tonight just to discuss the big news that was struck today that Mark Lawwell is now leaving Celtic along with Joe Duggan, the head of scouting as well. Obviously, it was struck earlier this afternoon, and welcome news probably to a lot of Celtic supporters, but probably news we were quite surprised to see. I'm joined by Alistair to discuss that news this afternoon. How are you doing, Alistair?
Good, thanks, Josh. Yourself?
I'm alright. So obviously Mark Lawwell was out the building, which is a step in the right direction from what I would say personally. Um, if you want, there's a list of signings there, but I'll do that in a separate video because I've just not got the time to go through the
Yeah,
signings, the amount of signings we made. Um, I think
you've been in
overall,
all day.
I think overall, it's, it's a decision that had to be made, a decision that needed to be made. It was getting to the point where if we had Mark Lawwell as a head of recruitment for another window, I'd fear how bad it could get.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I must admit, when you called me earlier to say that Mark Lawwell had resigned, I must admit I don't like celebrating a guy losing his job, but I must admit I let out a big yes and let's move on because the club needs change and
Aye,
hopefully this is the start.
I think definitely. I think this needs to be the change of a modernisation. Um, at Celtic because the main problem is became stagnant. It's became stagnant in terms of how this club has been run. It's been run, and see, to be honest with you as well, we need to get away from this whole City Group nonsense. We are not what in our club's lackey. That's what the problem is. We're this close to becoming another Man City, one of Man City's feeder clubs. We all know that. We don't need Man's like if they're good enough, then fair enough. But Mark Lawwell did not. You say you don't like celebrating people losing their jobs. I don't care if you don't do your job properly, which you don't, which he hasn't. You know that's what happens. It's happening any other. It's
And
happening any other.
the record, I mean, there's more there's more money being wasted. Celtic can't afford that, and that's how you had to go. I mean,
No,
11
he
million pounds in the summer, and that's not including Burnaby.
did. You know the money that's been frittered away, and I've always said part of the problem is Celtic don't spend enough. But why would you want to spend enough when you've got a clip like just people that don't know how to recruit properly? Because that's when I do the video later on this week, or probably into next week, about the list of signings, and you'll find there the signings that just did not work out, or are yet to find out if they're good enough. You know, and probably it's crucial that Celtic this next you
Needs to
know
be right.
needs to be right. And I read a tweet for Anthony Joseph earlier on, and it basically read, I'm going it up here, read Celtic are now in a position to restructure the footballing department. Most modern football players for the clubs, have a sporting director or a position like this, whose job it is to ensure a long-term and sustainable success and a smooth over transition period due to forward planning. That hits it the nail on the head for me. I have screamed for years that Celtic need a director of football. We can't have chairmans and people who deal with financial dealing with the football. We need somebody who's in a football brain. I said after we lost 10 in a row that we needed a football director of football and we never got one.
Do
So
you know what? On you go. Do you know
it's
what I would
overall
go?
it's overall needing a massive overhaul in terms of how this club operates from start to finish. It needs to be that this club are able to, when it comes to a new manager, we spoke a lot about this season, a manager with the styles changing my Ange to Brendan, there needs to be a lot more flawless. We can't have, oh, well, he's an Ange player. No, we need players that can play multiple styles. You know, in the summer, we should have already had our targets mapped out because we knew that Ange Postecoglou was leaving. So we all should have had our targets mapped out. And we never, and the targets we brought in have, have flattered to deceive.
Average at best.
Mm-hmm.
Average at
Aye.
best.
Um,
But what I would love to do, Josh, would be do the Salzburg model and have the replacement players in before players can leave. We seem to do it the opposite way. We seem to let players leave, them scrambling about trying to replace them, and we end up with egg in my face 9 times out of 10.
aye.
And that's what
Um,
I would like to go down, but sporting directors a must for me.
aye. It needs to. We need to get away from this, and this has to be obviously. Is it Joe Dugden or something? He's not leaving as well. No, got a clue to be honest. Who he is? I know he's some sort of scout, but this
Surprise,
needs to be
surprise,
the
he came from the City group.
City group again. This needs to be the modernisation in the summer. If we win this league or not, there needs to be a complete overhaul of the ideas because the ideas they've got boring. A
This is
club,
speculation on my part. And this is speculation on my part, but it wouldn't surprise me if Brendan Rodgers had said, I'm not working with him anymore. Which begs the question, who okayed? I mean, Mark Lawwell was rumoured to be leaving 4 or 5 weeks ago. So why was he allowed to spend money on Kuhn from Rapid Vienna? If your
aye,
head of recruitment was leaving, you know what I mean? I,
aye,
I just, and the Joe Duggan one, that tells me there's going to be a restructuring, or that's my hope anyway. But
aye. There
we'll
has to be a complete restructuring. Um, and it starts the day with Mark Lawwell, and it starts for me as well with Peter Lawwell. The both of them have to go. The whole I would even go as far as saying the whole scouting department have to go. It's no worked for years. It's no worked for years. Celtic are the only club on planet Earth who I could honestly say have had four. This will be our fourth sport chief of scout or head of recruitment, and I think about 6 year. That's
well,
nowhere near good enough.
you've
You
had
don't,
John Park, you've had Lee Congerton, you've had Nick Hammond and Mark Lawwell.
and only one's been
Four,
successful.
yeah, John Park,
And John Park left years ago. Recently,
yeah.
with obviously Congerton, we've also had Hammond. They were only here for about 2 years. Mark Lawwell is only joined in May 2022. You said to me the January transfer with the phone earlier. I searched it up. It's May 2022. He was appointed as head of recruitment at Celtic. He's
And
lasted
he's no
no
getting
more than
Alistair
even 2 years.
Johnson. He's no getting Alistair Johnson. The
No,
good signings we brought in were all done by Ange. Let's
I,
face it.
I, I don't think you. I don't think you can. I think certainly, when I do the rank all the signings, I will still be giving them credit for that signs because you can't. They were brought under his watch. We don't know if Ange. We can speculate that Ange brought the players in, but they were the only good. There's no many good ones. I would say that for instance, I can't be as I said, I can't really be bothered getting through it tonight because I would be here all day.
Yeah.
Um, but there needs to be a massive overhaul, a massive change. There needs to be, you know, there needs to be a scouting. There needs to be a fresh idea in regards to. his father, Peter Lawwell, if he is not willing to spend money and willing to try and take Celtic forward and be open to fresh ideas, then go. Because
You know
we
what
don't,
was very on you go. You
we don't need you. We don't need you. That's the thing.
you
Well
know
done. You
what
had
was
just 17 years. We don't need you. You've,
you know what
in my
on
opinion, you've held Peter Lawwell. You've held this club back for years now. You've held him back for years. And anybody who tells me otherwise, honestly, go away him. To be honest, because I'm as I said weeks ago, I'm sick and tired of him. He needs to go,
yeah, completely cut out. Um
and
but
it's
what I
none of
will
this sneaking in the back door whenever we're successful. He needs to be gone. He's had his time at Celtic. It's coming to an end. We're now in a modern era of football where money talks. Money talks now. Wages talk. Now, and I don't want to talk about Rangers, right? They've got a goalkeeper, right, Jack Butland. Been absolutely superb this season. Pains me to say it, but he's been superb. Kept them in the game all night as well. But and he'll win a decent packet of wages. So they're doing it. This is what
yeah,
I'm trying to say. We now live in an era of football where where it's money talks. It's nothing to do with his dad's an old Celtic player. Or John McGinn's a Celtic supporter. It's not like that anymore. It's money.
yeah, 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 completely. And also, I thought it was interesting. I don't know if you read the club statement, but Michael Nicholson spoke, Brendan Rodgers spoke, but no sign of Daddy. I thought that was very interesting. Now, he's the chairman of the club. Now, he can speak at AGMs, but he can't speak when his boy leaves the club.
Aye.
That's very interesting. That might be one
And,
to watch.
and I'm going to go back to obviously Mark Lawwell was not in charge when we buggered up John McGinn. John McGinn went to Aston Villa because Aston Villa showed ambition. They weren't in the Premier League at the time. They showed ambition. They paid, was it, I think, 500 grand more for John McGinn.
They
John
paid
McGinn
£2.5 million, 2.5 million quid.
John McGinn has
So
now become one of the best midfielders in the league, the Premier League. He's been brilliant for Scotland. He's a Scotland captain, and he's been brilliant. And Celtic missed the chance to sign. We need to get away from this. If a player is worth £3 million, a player's worth £3 million. None of this. Oh
yeah,
well.
you go.
And I just think if a player is worth that amount, you need to make sure that you pay that amount. Now, I'm not saying that you can't wiggle, but see if a club, and I go back to Peter Lawwell's statement, oh, clubs didn't want to sell. Well, Peter, of course they didn't. You're probably offering them £1 million and a player's worth about four.
Well, apparently, I stress this is rumour. We offered 2.5 for Miovski. Now, if that's true, and I believe the guy that told me, we offered 2.5 and then went up to 3, and that was the two bids. Now, you're not telling me that we couldn't have went to 4 and made it impossible for Aberdeen to say no. I'm just
Uh-huh.
using Miovski as a example. A guy on my doorstep that we could have got.
I'm gonna read some of the statement out, actually, some of the main parts, pretty much. Basically, just read Celtic Football Club today announced that Mark Lawwell, head of first team scouting and recruitment, and Joe Duggan, or whatever his name is, lead first team
Duggan.
scout, have resigned from their positions to pursue fresh challenges. So, pretty much, Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers said, as part of the recruitment team, Mark and Joe have worked tirelessly to bring success to Celtic. Wish them all the best. Nicholson, everyone at Celtic, thanks Mark and Joe for their contribution. Well, you've got it wrong there because I certainly don't. Um,
But
and
what
we
are they
wish
going
them.
to say in that statement? They're not going to say,
I
thank God
obviously.
he's away.
But no, the problem is the people who are making the statements are the problem.
Yeah,
Nicholson's the problem as well. The guy earns 750 grand to sit and do what? Does he do?
yeah. This is the time he needs to step up or get out the kitchen.
But has he got his hands tied behind his back with the chairman? Or is he just a puppet? And everybody was all deceived because we got Jordan and Carter Vickers. No, everybody always says, oh, when Nicholson got Jordan and Carter Vickers, Michael Nicholson had no choice. It would have been an absolute travesty if we never get them.
Yeah, they were open goals. If you didn't get them, you're really asking questions.
Exactly. And, you know,
And the fact we're
Brendan,
still relying on them
and no
says a
offense,
lot about the
I'm
recruitment.
not, I'm not saying it, but Brendan Rodgers is a bit to blame as well because he's just let it happen. Was the, I said in January, what was the point in Rodgers coming back? Because he sat there and I think he's just allowed.
But speculation on my part, Josh. But I genuinely believe that Rogers is when either they go or I go.
Aye,
That's my hope. That's my hope now that we can move on and hopefully, fingers crossed and everything crossed, it doesn't cost us the league.
mhm,
However, but I genuinely believe I thought Rogers was away. Now I'm not so sure.
aye. I think it's now important that we get the modernization really starts to take hold at this club, and we don't have if somebody comes in with fresh ideas, and we don't do what we done to Don Mackay, we don't just chase
Yeah,
him out the
well,
door
funny
because he
enough,
can.
Tom Mackay was the name I was thinking of.
Aye,
I was
but
thinking Tom Mackay.
it's obviously really important um to just get that modernisation. But just going to kind of obviously conclude it there because it was just a kind of quick video, obviously
Yeah,
just to discuss the news um of obviously what happened today. Obviously we'll hopefully see developments on potential new director of football, and stuff like that, and or and our scouting chief hopefully is the director of football for me, over the next few days. But there should be a podcast coming out tomorrow. We're eventually back after a few kind of errors we recorded that today, so just discussing. Me and Nathan sat down and discussed the game at Tynecastle on Sunday. So hope you enjoy that when that comes out. But till next time, I'll see you later. Cheers.
see you later.